How does a civilization survive for 3,000 years in a desert? How does it build monuments of stone, preserve the dead, and leave ideas that outlive empires? Ancient Egypt answered all of those questions and more. Long before modern civilization, a mighty kingdom rose along the Nile River. Herodotus called it, "Egypt is the gift of the Nile," and he was right. Without the Nile, there would have been no Egypt as we know it. Each year, the river flooded its banks, then retreated and left behind rich black silt. The Egyptians called that fertile land Kemet, the Black Land. In a harsh desert, that gift meant survival. It meant wheat, stability, and the chance to build a society that would endure. Around 3100 BC, Egypt was still divided into two lands, Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt. Then came Narmer, also known as Menes. Through conquest, he united the country and wore the double crown, symbolizing a single kingdom. He became the first pharaoh, and with him, the story of unified Egypt began. That moment was more than political victory. It was the birth of a civilization built on order, authority, and sacred kingship. The first great chapter of that civilization was the Old Kingdom, often called the Golden Age of the Pyramids. Pharaohs were not seen as ordinary rulers. They were living gods, and their word was law. If they were to rule forever, then their tombs had to last forever too. So the Egyptians began building pyramids, monuments meant to secure immortality. It was ambition carved into stone. Pyramid building began under Djoser and reached its peak under Khufu. The Great Pyramid of Giza was built from about 2.3 million stone blocks, each weighing between 2 and 50 tons. Even now, scientists still debate how those blocks were moved and placed with such precision. No wheels, no modern machinery, just human planning, labor, and determination on an almost unimaginable scale. Beside the pyramids stands the Great Sphinx, with the body of a lion and the face of a human. For thousands of years, it has guarded the plateau in silence, a watchful mystery. But no empire lasts forever. The Old Kingdom collapsed under the strain of excessive royal spending, drought, and disaster. Egypt entered the first intermediate period, a time of fragmentation, civil war, and famine. The land that had once seemed so secure was suddenly broken apart. Yet even in crisis, the Egyptians did not disappear. They adapted, rebuilt, and waited for stability to return. Around 2000 BC, the 11th dynasty restored unity and began the Middle Kingdom. This era was less famous for conquest, but it became a period of culture, reform, and renewal. Stories and poems were written on papyrus, art flourished, justice improved, the rights of ordinary people expanded. In many ways, the Middle Kingdom proved that strength was not only measured by armies and monuments, it could also be found in law, literature, and the will to rebuild. Then came another trial. A foreign people, known as the Hyksos, conquered Egypt and introduced new weapons and chariot warfare. For the Egyptians, defeat became instruction. They studied what had overpowered them, learned from it, and turned it into strength. Under Thutmose I, the Hyksos were expelled, and a new era began. The lesson was clear. Egypt's power was not just in defending itself, it was in rising stronger after invasion. That new era was the New Kingdom, and with it came empire. Egypt expanded beyond its borders and became one of the greatest powers in the ancient world. Thutmose III led 17 military campaigns and stretched Egypt's reach from Syria to Nubia. He was followed by Ramesses II, who ruled for 66 years, built monumental temples like Abu Simbel, and signed one of history's earliest known peace treaties with the Hittites. Egypt was no longer only a river kingdom. It was a force that shaped the ancient world. Yet power in Egypt was never only military. It was spiritual, deeply tied to belief in the afterlife. The Egyptians believed the soul could return to the body after death. That belief gave rise to mummification, one of the civilization's most remarkable practices. The organs were removed while the heart was left in place. The body was dried for 40 days with natron, then coated with oils and wrapped in linen. This was not superstition alone. It was chemistry, medicine, and faith working together to preserve a person for eternity. For much of the New Kingdom, rulers were buried not in pyramids, but in hidden tombs cut into the Valley of the Kings. These tombs were meant to protect the dead, yet grave robbers still found many of them. One tomb remained hidden for centuries. Then, in 1922, after years of searching, Howard Carter discovered a concealed staircase and uncovered the nearly untouched tomb of Tutankhamun. The young king had ruled from age 9 to 19, and he left behind no great military legacy. But the treasures in his tomb revealed the wealth and artistry of ancient Egypt in unforgettable detail. Gold, chariots, and the famous funerary mask turned a forgotten pharaoh into a global legend. Still, even the grandest civilization can weaken from within. After Tutankhamun, Egypt faced corruption, growing priestly power, and repeated invasions by Assyrians, Persians, and Greeks. The kingdom slowly lost its strength. Then, after nearly 3 centuries of Ptolemaic rule, Cleopatra VII came to power. She was intelligent, politically skilled, and charismatic. In a desperate struggle to preserve Egypt's independence, she allied herself with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. But at Actium, their forces were defeated by Octavian. In 30 BC, Cleopatra died, and Egypt became a province of Rome. The 3,000-year royal dynasty had come to an end. And yet Egypt did not truly disappear. Its ideas survived. The 365-day calendar traces back to ancient Egypt, so do important advances in geometry, human anatomy, medicine, early surgery, and cosmetics. Even hieroglyphic writing still speaks across time, carrying the voice of a civilization that shaped history itself. Ancient Egypt fell as a kingdom, but it lived on as knowledge, as memory, as legacy. So when we look at the Nile, the pyramids, the tombs, and Cleopatra's final days, we are not just seeing ruins. We are seeing the story of human determination, intelligence, and creativity on a monumental scale. What amazes you most about ancient Egypt, the construction of the pyramids, or the mystery of mummification? Comment below and like, share, and subscribe.